Soul, I blame you.
I need to quickly
It
get
would be
into
my
the
fault.
game.
Do it faster.
Arthur.
I was in my Opera GX. My Opera GX is not the one that I use for D&D on Roll20 because it doesn't have fucking 5e tools.
Alright. So
So I need to use fucking. Oh no, there is a better 5e tools. Better Roll20. Oh god. Update.
Oh, there is. I'm not using it. It's fine. The old one load.
Apple
You know-
Day 2.
Did it load?
While I'm thinking about it,
Did the old one load? Oh, it's still loading. It's fine. It's still working.
while we're all loading in, I did have one question real quick on the subject of me running something. I would like some opinions because I had something I was thinking about doing and would like to hear them.
Maybe
I have been
message it
working-
somewhere.
On a Dark Souls inspired Dungeons and Dragons.
Friend of mine tried to run that.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go well.
Oh, how so?
It was just too difficult, and we just died. And then it was like,
Oh, no. I'm not talking about like the mechanics of die a lot. I'm talking about like the feel,
Oh.
the atmosphere, that kind of stuff.
oh, that'd be fine. But yeah, the one he ran was like just made to be mega difficult.
No, not that Dark Souls inspired. I don't want to make. I'm not going to make game journalists out the Dark Souls of D&D. No. I'm talking
Yeah.
atmosphere, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Atmosphere should be fine.
Yeah,
The
like
dark medieval fantasy.
yeah.
Fantasies.
Yeah, I'll be keen. Right, shall we?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my internet to function while it's load in.
Stall up. It's stall up. That's the important one.
Hell yeah.
I have everything ready.
Cool.
By the way,
Okay.
I've already started.
Alrighty. So, quick recap. Last time, you teleported into the swamps. Into a battle between Phaela and her rebels. Against a group of Nivexal loyalist soldiers and some black Abishai. You managed to kill all the Abishai and the Nivexal loyalists, along with the help of some of Phaela's forces and also some commoners with pointy sticks. Fighting devils. After the battle, you learned that Phaela had been gathering allies and that Nivexal had been slaughtering the people in the swamp who even hesitated in serving Nivexal. Basically looking for absolute loyalty and would not accept anything less. You learned Phaela had been fighting for days after what she saw in Marshfield, which was her home. Although she didn't tell you what she saw, you didn't press her on what she saw, but she seemed devastated by it. She told you that her and her allies are moving people from the villages to hidden ruins that are within the swamp. She has hundreds willing to fight, and many thousands of villagers who have been saved that are currently hidden. And that Nivexal's forces have been searching the swamp, and you saw scouts flying overhead. Archie briefly took Phaela to his sanctuary, gave her some gear, allowed her to heal, and you were informed that there is a witch in the swamp who goes by the name Granny Mudwallow, who lives in an area of the swamp called the Mudwallow, which is a section of the swamp that apparently even Nivexal's forces are daring not to go near. Like the scouts flying overhead are actively flying around this area.
It's like when the space stations go over Area 51.
Yep, sort of a go around it. Just divert course. So Archie recalled that you've heard of this witch in the swamp, and this witch in the swamp has been around for not only longer than the Vixel has, but longer than Archie before had. Which puts this witch somewhere in the vicinity of several hundred years of just being in the swamp. You decided the witch would definitely have some information for you and be a powerful ally as the enemy of your enemy. He's your friend.
Mhm.
And you split off as Phaela took the surviving commoners off to one of the shelters. You travelled for the next day or so in the direction of the Mud Wallow. You avoided several of Nivixel's scouting parties and saw a village on the horizon through all the rain and mud, being a village being burned and destroyed by a dragon. Not necessarily Nivixel, but definitely some awful things happening in the swamp. And it's been raining constantly, mind you. And there's just mud everywhere. Towards sundown, you arrived at the edge of the cursed forest called the Mud Wallow. And upon entering, you're attacked by some little fey insectoid creatures that seem to just give off this aura of fear. Thanks to Tykan and his anti-fear aura, you were not frightened. And after the raiding consumption happened, the little insectoids ran away because they were afraid of the light. You continued on through the cursed forest sort of situation and went past some pieces, like little bite-sized pieces of Abishai and things that had been torn apart by those little fey creatures. Before arriving at this scene, you stand at the edge of a murky, toxic lake. In the toxic lake, you can see, standing about shoulder deep in the water, are shuffling undead zombies. Can you see that? Can you see the picture?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Shuffling zombies. Some fresh. Some wearing what's left of armor that you recognize from Nivixel's loyalist soldiers. Some much older and their bodies bloated from being in the water constantly. The water is unbelievably toxic and murky. And there's a little wooden rickety bridge that goes over the swamp to that little hut that you see there. To the left and the right, at the start of the bridge, there are two taller poles, and on each pole is an Abishai that has had its guts ripped open, maggots crawling all over its guts, and you can see there is some sort of healing magic going on, keeping the Abishai on the cusp of death but still alive. Their tongues ripped out so they can't scream. Instead, there's just this soft gurgling coming from them as they're being kept in that state.
If you think about it, that soft gurgling could be ASMR. There you go. There's your nice curse stuff for today.
It's intentionally awful, and as Archie knows, that's what hags do. Make it as awful as possible.
Yes.
But as you stand there, you see these two Abishai. The eyes of the Abishai look at you, and there's like a pleading look of they want you to end this.
Sucks to suck. Let's keep going.
Yep.
No. I don't think so.
It's just the pleading and the gurgling. Across the little bridge, you can see there's lights inside the hut. And you hear a voice, and I believe it was Archie that knows Sylvan.
Yeah, let me check. I don't know.
Or was it Fenrir?
Say that again, sorry?
Who knows Sylvan in the party?
Sylvan. I know Sylvan.
Cool.
I don't
Definitely
know. I
not
think
me.
that's one of the ones that Archie does not
Okay.
know.
Okay, so As you stand at the edge at this bridge, having gone across it yet, these two Abishai gurgling, you hear from the hut a voice in Sylvan, an older grandmother type voice, saying, "No, no, you've already been fed. There's literally food in your bowl right now." And you hear this meow from a cat. What do you all do?
I'll say, well, she's home.
If no
I
one
give
stops
her a
cycling, he's
friendly
gonna
welcome.
Yeah, he wants to do the polite thing.
I will. Oh, I will shout out in Sylvan. Excuse us, miss. May we have an audience?
As you call that out, it echoes across the swamp, and all the zombies that are shuffling about sort of stop and look at you. Moment of silence before suddenly on one of the on top of the left Abishai's head, suddenly you see this. It's very big.
That's a big ass cat.
You see this. Only the face.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, I love these things.
It's a fey looking cat, but it's got an unnaturally large grin with jagged teeth. And for Archie, because you have to take magic glasses, you see invisibly there is a tiny little portal just behind where the face is. As the cat looks, as his head disappears, and it says in common, "Granny, we have guests." And they're not like the others.
Yeah, we're not as black and armored.
Wow.
Other than that one.
The face, you can see, like the picture, it has little blue streaks on its fur. The blue streaks softly pulse with magic. This is an intensely fey cat. It sort of looks at you all as the door opens to the hut, and across the small, like 2 to 3 foot wide rickety wooden path, which is definitely too weak to carry Kalaya or Saber, the door opens and you see this. Hunched over, awful looking, unbelievably haggy hag. She looks out across the thing as she opens the door and looks at you all and says, "Oh my, guess."
Indeed.
Greetings, madam.
Hello, ma'am.
Oh,
Well, don't be shy. Come across. Let's let me have a look at you all.
Archie will go first.
Okay.
I'll go right behind him.
Okay.
I kind of want to keep him in my aura just in case.
Okay. Saber and Kalaya stay behind, I presume.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. They give each other company.
I go
Cool. So is Scarlet going across as well?
sure.
As you all approach, and there's a little like platform in front of her hut, and as you sort of approach her, you sort of step up to her. She says, "Oh, it's so nice to have guests that don't come with violent intentions.
And it's, well, funny enough, what we want to do is deal with those guests.
Sorry, say that again.
Well, we wish to deal with those who, those type of guests.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, you've come at an interesting time.
He's listening.
As if you'd come, well, a few months ago, I don't think we would have had anything to talk about. But it seems some toes have been stepped on lately.
Yeah, the Black Dragon and his cohorts seem to be a little bit riled up since we've been treading around.
They have. But I presume you're not here for idle chit-chat.
No. Well, sometimes I am, but today is not one of those times.
I see. What are you here for then? It's been a while since we've had visitors looking for something.
We come with favorable outcomes, I would say. I'm not really one for deals. Been around too many devils, you know.
Oh, I know devils.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do deals. I do
I don't.
trades.
How about a favorable trade that doesn't have any downsides for either of us?
My trades don't have downsides.
Yeah.
They have mutual benefits.
Well, I have one that has more mutual benefit to you than it would be to a lot of other people.
Well, consider me interested. But before we make any sort of trade, I want to make sure that you have something that you can offer me.
How about your old spawning grounds? Well, not your old spawning grounds, your old clientele, let's say.
If you're talking about Navixel, he will die soon enough.
Oh, trust me. He's going to be dying in the next week.
Oh. That's a lot sooner than I had planned.
That's why we're here.
But in order to discuss further, I'm going to need something from one of you. I need to have a look at you all to see if you can offer something that interests me as she hobbles up to all of you. Now, this won't hurt.
Stop.
Sorry.
Tyken doesn't stop anything, he'll let her.
Okay. As she approaches, and she's going to approach. Sorry, get my dice out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. She approaches. Thanraya first. Are you in your hybrid form?
Yeah.
She approaches you and says, "Oh," and she grabs you by the cheek like a grandmother would, and sort of pinches your cheek and sort of starts looking at you. And you notice her arms are like probably almost twice as long as they should be. They're really awful. She's like pinches your cheek and goes, "The beast, I see."
Indeed.
Hmm. I hope you. I hope you're not thinking that this is going to terrify me.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Why would I want to scare you?
Many come through here thinking they can overpower me. Show me their transformations and things, and it gets
th-
old.
I'm like this to deal with the shit out there.
Understood. Well, let's see. And as she just sort of pinches your cheek a little bit harder.
Would you prefer me to transform back?
Oh, it's fine. I don't need you to transform back. As suddenly, Thanrea, you feel a presence pierce your mind. Are you going to let it?
Yeah.
You feel in an instant the hag suddenly digs through your thoughts, your memories. And says, And then she suddenly pulls out. Anger against Bel. Vengeance. Lust for power. Boring. And she pushes you aside.
Fair enough.
Fucking Keck W.
She steps up to you, Archie.
Oh.
She pinches your cheek.
I would have been through something like this before, wouldn't I?
Make me an Arcana check.
I'll make an Arcana check. Mini Archie will help.
Oh, it's already rolled. There it is.
24.
There it is. Cool. Archie, as you're really close to this hag, you notice something.
Mhm.
When she moves, and her face moves, and in her eyes don't have one set of pupils. There are three. And the way she moves, it's almost like there's three bodies in one. Archie, this is not a regular hag. Because as you know, hags work in covens.
I tell
This
you
is-
what, you're
This,
very
Archie,
interesting.
Archie, this
Yeah.
this is the result of what happens when a coven of three consumes each other and becomes a coven of one.
I
There
can
are three-
see.
there are
I
three
say to
hags.
her, I can see how you've been alive all this time, Polly.
She says, "Why, thank you."
Your eyes tell a lot of the story.
Well, I've been alive through that, and also my various contingencies.
Mm-hmm.
As you feel her begin to dig into your mind, Archie. Do you let her?
I would flood her with as much information as possible.
Yeah, All right. She digs through it all and burrows through it. She seems to take it easily.
Yeah, I know. I know she would be able to take it. This is why I'm just flooding
yeah.
her with
You can sort it out
everything that's in
between
his
three people.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She digs through it all and finds all these things. She finds the moment you blew up Neverwinter and all these other, all of your memories of study and things. She says, "Oh, you've inflicted suffering on others, that's for sure. And your intellect is interesting."
Some people call me smart. Others call me
But-
stupid.
But in this instance, rebuilt by the Celestials, hey?
Mm.
Interesting, but not what I need. And she pushes you aside.
As expected. Archie didn't think that he has what she needs.
She steps up to you, Scarlet. and pinches your cheek. Says, "Ooh, Order of the Blue Moon, but you don't carry the beast within you." Oh, do you say anything? Oh, you there?
Yeah.
She says, "Order of the Blue Moon, but you don't have the beast within you."
Correct.
Oh, you're a noble one, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. That would be me.
All about honor. Let's have a look. And she pinches your cheek a little bit harder, just to the point of almost causing pain. And you feel her begin to dig into your thoughts. Are you going to resist her?
No.
Okay. She starts digging through your thoughts, the memories of training and everything, the things your father did to make you strong. And she sort of like skims through it all, and then gets to the Battle of Waterdeep. And she takes a keen interest in that. As suddenly for Scarlet, all the memories of the suffering of that battle, all the dying and the screaming, becomes forefront to your mind. And she seems to linger on all of that. She says as she pulls back. "I think we have something you can offer here." Do you say anything to her, Scarlet?
Nothing in particular.
And it's off-putting for you, Scarlet, because those memories which you try not to remember too deeply are stuck at the forefront of your mind for now. She pushes you aside and slips over to you, Tykan. And you stand, Tykan, probably a good foot and a half above her.
Mm-hmm.
She steps up to you, and you're not sure when she did it. Archie, there was no outward casting of magic. But suddenly, she's standing the same height as Tykan.
She's levitating.
No,
So she's bigger.
She just got bigger in an instant.
Yeah.
And by the way, the cat is now in the window of the hut, just this little face staring at you. She grabs your cheek, Tykan,
Mm-hmm.
and just stares at you.
He
Oh.
awkwardly smiles.
So big and strong.
Thank you.
Let's see if you have anything that would be interesting to me. And she starts to dig into your mind. Would you like to resist her?
Nope.
Okay. As she starts to dig into your mind and digs through your memories, and you sort of feel her seeing all these, like saving people and villages and things. Skims back and forth. She sees the bridge with Frigidax. Lingers on that for a bit, and then backtracks a bit. And you notice, Tykan, she sticks on one particular moment of your past. The moment where you found Astrid and Frida dead.
I had a hunch that's where this was going. He mentally prepared.
She says, "Now that's an interesting one. Tell me, Tykan." And you didn't tell her your name. She sort of got it from memories.
Mm-hmm.
Are you truly worthy of spending an afterlife with them after you let them die?
He takes a deep breath and he says, "No, I'm not." but I'm still allowed to.
Hmm. He smiles, and you see like blackened gums, and it's just awful. Everything about this hag is awful. She lets go of your cheek and says, "Well, it seems that you have some things to offer me after all."
Healing and memories.
Memories of suffering. Come in, and she immediately shrinks down to her original size and steps up and opens the door for you all, revealing the entrance to her dank, stinky little hut.
The dang hut.
Your beast can remain outside. She looks at Saber and Kalaya.
Yeah,
They
unfortunately, Thanra has to stay outside.
they
Damn.
will be safe here. My pets will make sure that no unwanted guests come along.
Appreciate it.
She ushers you all in. As you all step inside the hut. There's rot on all the wood. All manner of horrific hag trinkets line the walls. Hands, fingers, eyes that seem to blink. Shelves with wooden shelves. On the shelves are glass bottles containing organs that seem to pulse. You also notice that those bearskin rugs, the ones that have the head on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as you step in, there is a black rug, which is not furry, but it is in fact scaly. It is a young black dragon rug.
I like your taste.
Nike
in
would point
decor.
at it, and he would just say, "Oh, I like this."
Oh, thank you. It's a recent addition, she says. You notice the wings are not on it. It's just the torso and the head. She says, "Well, let us have a chat." And she gestures you over to one corner of the hut, where you see there are a series of chairs. At a glance, you notice the chairs are made with a frame of dragon bone and human bone and other creature bone, lined with various animal hides and skins. And a more recent addition looks to be some cushions that have been made out of dragon wing. You see, it's unnecessarily disgusting, and that's the hag's whole thing.
Yes, sir.
She says, "Please take a seat. Can I offer you all some tea?"
I'm gonna follow Archie's lead on this one.
One moment. Can I look at the tea?
She's offered you tea. She hasn't given it to you yet. She says, "Can I offer you tea?"
Depends on the tea. I have my own tea here too. I can pull out my little teapot.
Oh, we can have both, can't we?
Oh,
She
why not?
She, as you all sit awkwardly on these seats, she offers. She wanders to one corner of the hut where there's a somewhat of a kitchen/brewing area, and there is in fact a giant iron pot with gurgling ingredients in it. But a few moments pass, and she comes back, unless you want to discuss anything while she's out of the room.
Look at Tyken. I look at Scarlet and I'm like, you know, this isn't going to be favorable for you both, right?
Most likely.
Tyken nods and he just says, but you already know I'm willing to do a lot of things to help people.
I know, but the thing is, in turn, you'll be hurting people by giving her stuff back, as well as yourself.
If only I'm the one getting hurt, then that's something I'm alright. I'll have to see exactly what she wants.
He wants your suffering, she wants something to do with your suffering. She wants to abuse it to her own gains. It's not my decision to decide what she takes from you both. It's something that you both will give. She doesn't want anything from me. But you know,
He nods. I mostly just want to hear what it is.
you're not going to get the exact details, so don't take everything for face value.
Not only heard stories, never dealt with them myself. Well, not much anyway.
They will give you the general analysis, but they will never give you the full deal.
The few interactions with these I've had has been not friendly.
Everything that I've read, everything that I've heard, you'll be getting the short end of the stick in this deal. As you can see from all these, I point out literally all the trophies on the walls.
As you look at the trophies on the walls, by the way, Tyken, Thanrea, and Archie, you recognize several of the jars on the walls are containing young black dragon organs. In particular, there is a heart that is beating.
Oh.
And then you notice there is a soft moving from the black dragon rug from the head.
Oh, it's still
That's
alive.
unlucky. That's really fucking unlucky.
The eyes of the black dragon have this look of unending suffering coming from it.
Sucks to be you, but
Yeah, I think the saying is sucks to suck.
yeah.
As you hear something boiling in the kitchen, as there is suddenly Tyken. The cat appears on your lap.
Hello.
It says, "Hello. Granny is interested in you." It looks up at you.
Yes, I think you're right.
You are interesting, as it begins to scratch its claws on your armor.
I just stare at the cat.
As you
Don't
stare at
stop it. He's not going to really hurt it, though.
As you stare at the cat, Archie, suddenly its head disappears. The rest of the body is there, still scratching at Tyken's armor, but the head appears on your shoulder.
Miniachi stares at the head on my shoulder.
You are delicious, it says.
Delicious, huh?
Mm. The
I
grin
never
gets
knew myself to
gets-
be delicious.
The grin gets wider and wider, and it's like almost all of its face is just this giant grin.
I never knew we were dealing with the Cheshire cat, but you know.
It's basically a Cheshire cat, yeah. It's at this point that the hag returns with a fresh pot that has been boiled with hot water.
I look at it. Is there
Alrighty.
anything magical about it?
As she approaches and sort of puts the pot down, and there are a variety of little cups, and there are a variety of little wooden containers with various herbs in. There is a slight enchantment to the pot. It looks to be just a minor enchantment, Archie.
Yep.
That just simply helps it boil. That
I was gonna
that's-
say it's like a heat thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a heat thing. There are toxins all around you, Archie, but the hag hasn't put any on the table, or any in the vicinity of the tea. You would get a sense, Archie, that while hags are awful, poisoning someone during tea is not exactly a good thing you want when a trade is about to take place.
True. But I've known some shady people in my lifetime, including myself.
You have, yes.
I am the shadiest of them all.
The hag says. The hag pushes several of the pots into the middle of the table and says, "Please help yourselves. There's some lemon tea here and some herbal tea here. Don't drink this one just yet." And she pulls one of them back.
I'll take the lemon.
As you take the lemon and sort of pour it in, and a little cup is prepared for you. Having a sip, Tyken?
You know what? We ball here. We like gambling here. Let's see. He'll sip.
Okay.
what were the both of them?
There are about 4 different teas. There's a lemon, there's a herbal one, there's a green tea. There's like a lavender sort of one, and there's one that she's pulled back and said you can't have this one yet.
Can I do a bit of a
I'll go
squiz
ahead and do
at that
tea.
one?
You can. Archie. Make an Arcana check.
Oh, me and Mini Archie will have a bit of a little bit of a
It was mini Archie.
little bit of a little bit of a look, a little bit of squiz.
The other teas are. There's a vague magic on the other teas. The other teas are just. You get a sense, Archie, it's some sort of a plant growth sort of spell, just to make them grow better. But nothing bad about the lemon and whatever teas. They're just made because growing them will be hard here, and therefore magic helps. On the one she pulled back, however, there is an extremely potent mix of illusion, illusion and enchantment magic. Granny Mudwallow says, notices you looking at that one, says, "That's not for you."
Oh no, that's going to be for Scarlet or Tycan.
Indeed.
I see it.
It's nothing harmful. I make a point of not poisoning my guests when they come so amicably.
Oh, I know it's not poison. Don't worry. I just know everything else about it.
Oh, by the way, Charlie's remained outside as well.
Mhm.
For simplicity.
I just say I know everything else about it.
Oh, very good. Well, I wouldn't expect anything less from you.
Yes.
Says, now, since you have something you can offer me, what is it you want me to offer you?
Well, considering how big these deals can get, I'm going to start off with a big part of our side. I want you to help us to deal with Tiamat and the dragons. In the ways that you can, of course. Obviously, the first one is a lot more beneficial to you being in your mutual grounds of deals and benefactories,
Hmm.
but any sort of help, whether it be information, whether it be weaknesses, whether it be concoctions, or any mutual help that we can come to you, a helpful patron within Faerun, would be welcomed. But
As you,
I'm also willing to bargain here.
she nods, and then the cat looks up, its head returning back to its body on Tyken's lap. It looks at the hag and says, "A patron. That's a new one." The hag smiles and says, I like the sound of that. Much better than the hag in the swamp.
Mhm.
The wicked witch of the mud. Patron. Almost sounds benevolent in a way.
As you already know, I know what a lot of people do, including one like yourself, but I also know that within a world like Toril, there is a necessary good and a necessary evil, and then there's not necessary goods and not necessary evils, and there's one with 5 stupid heads that's out in space at the moment.
Yes, good riddance, I say, to that one.
We have a plan to get it back in its place where it's supposed to be, but we also need to deal with the imbalance of chromatic to metallic within the Sword Coast. And someone of your intellect and wizened mind would help a lot.
As you say, wise and mind, she raises a finger.
Hmm.
Minds.
Correct.
Lowers the finger, sip the tea.
Let me reiterate that. Collective minds
Yes, that's better.
could help a lot in just information as well as other things to deal with these chromatics that have been around for a very long time.
So in summation, you are after information and perhaps some form of assistance.
Correct.
Reasonable terms.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just be absolutely clear, you intend to kill Navixal.
We intend to kill all the chromatics.
The others are of no concern. It is just Navixal that is the thorn in my side.
Yes, and that's why we're here trying to make the deal, because we knew that Nivexel is a thorn in your side.
Well, those are your terms.
Mm-hmm.
Allow me to present mine.
Very well.
As I'm sure you, Archibald, are very aware, I deal in suffering.
I have noticed that.
Suffering is much like this. Suffering for me is much like this tea is for you. It's enriching. And for the longest time, I dealt in suffering within the swamp. Not only suffering, as she looks at you, Tyke. I also protect in the swamp. Because there can be no true suffering without joy and hope. So, for some decades, the people prosper and they are happy. And others, and she looks at one particular shelf where you see there is a variety of unbelievably toxic diseases bottled up. Other times, well, I let a few of those bottles go. but I've always kept the people of the swamp protected against outside threats. Think of it like a shepherd looking after its flock. That is until Navixal came along, attempted to push me out of my home. We did battle several times. And he killed me several times. But he quickly learned that while he can kill me, keeping me dead was something completely different. And so we came to a mutual understanding.
He leaves you alone, you leave him alone.
An agreement of sorts. He would allow them to flourish and then sometimes to suffer. I would feed on that and I would stay out of his way. But more recently, he's begun to get more bold. The suffering outweighs the joy. And in the most recent of times, since the fall of his champion, Phaela, he's become far too busy.
We're not apologising for that.
No apology necessary. I knew it was a matter of time until someone slipped out from under his claws. But now he's cracking down, not allowing them any joy at all, just constant suffering. And while that's good for a time, that certainly is not sustainable. His desire to control the entire swamp led him to come to me with a deal.
Oh.
Now, his terms were a bit different to yours.
No.
His terms were serve him and deliver a certain 4 individuals to him on a silver platter.
No. And that would be us.
Indeed.
Oh. Archie leans forward with a smile on his face.
She says, but that, while his terms were enticing, he made one mistake. He continued to oppress the people of the swamp and ignore my conditions of allowing the people some joy and hope.
He broke the deal.
I refused his deal.
Oh.
And his response was, as one would expect from a black dragon. He chose violence. He sent 3 of his children, and her eyes, one of the pupils in her eyes slips over to the rug at the door. And 200 of his best warriors in here with the mission to take me out.
They obviously failed.
They did indeed. So, as far as I see it, the gloves are off. So here are my conditions. Here are my terms. 1. I've been deprived of some good suffering lately, present company not excluded, and then she looks again at the rug, and her eye looks past that, out the window to the 2 Abishai that are still being eaten by maggots outside. Some proper suffering, some proper loss. I wish to experience one of yours. And her eyes look across Tyken and Scarlet. That is my first condition. My second condition. In the times I've battled Navixhal, I've died 8 times against him. Contingencies, of course, allow me to be here now. He thinks he won every fight, but in actuality, I've been preparing him. Planting something within him. And while I would have liked longer to prepare, it seems we are running out of time. And I will have to make do. My second condition. When you kill Navixhal, I want his fundamentum. You recall what that is? That's the
Yeah.
that's the core of the dragon. It's
Yeah.
it's the source of its breath weapon, and it is an extremely potent thing, especially an ancient black dragon's fundamentum.
We need that to deal with Tiamat.
You do not. There was something else on Navixhal.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care. I called dibs. Hold up. I'll relive suffering. I'll even give her Scarlet, but the fundamentum?
As you say that?
Hold up. No, I don't say that. That's
Okay,
just
go.
out of the game.
Yep.
Hey! Hey, that's just mine!
Wait, what about what I said? Can't we just give her Scarlet instead?
Oh my god.
Hear me out, guys. Huh?
Oh my god. Our plan, Arthur. We give him Scarlet.
One final Scarlet and we go to Tahiti.
What's
But no, he would just... This is the kind of thing he defers to Archibald's judgment on.
What do you say?
That's a powerful artifact.
It is. And I died 8 times in preparation for receiving it. I would not go blindly into battle with a black dragon without some plan.
The thing is, it could be also damaged in our battle with it.
Then I'd ask that you ensure that it is not.
That's a heavy ask in the middle of combat with an ancient dragon that has killed you. Well, thought killed you 8 times. Was it?
8 times, yes. But that is my price. For my assistance.
What could be eternal suffering in one of the most powerful artifacts that an ancient dragon can hold for assistance. A heavy
Sorry.
price.
I've already begun preparations on it during our battles.
Also something that I can't fully deliberate on myself because it's not my suffering that is getting taken.
Okay.
Isn't getting your suffering taken a good thing?
It's not taken, says the hag. Shared. Relived.
Ah,
In vivid detail. And she grins.
Do you want to relive your eternal suffering over and over again, Targan?
Is it once or is it forever?
I find repeating suffering it dulls the effect. One gets used to it. Just once. But in exquisite detail. Of course, I can look at hers instead. The Battle of Waterdeep, as she looks at Scarlet. The Battle of Waterdeep. You suffered greatly in that. How many of your friends died, I wonder? Scarlet, do you say anything?
Well, no.
She just said to you how many of your friends suffered.
Have any of my friends suffered?
How
the battle.
many?
How many of them suffered and died during the Battle of Waterdeep?
Probably many.
I could experience that instead. I don't want both. I'm not greedy. I simply want one or the other and the fundamentum.
One other and the fundamentum? What?
She wants to experience either your suffering or Taiken's suffering, and she wants the dragon's fundamentum.
Oh. That's up to Taiken.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
Well, at least we know her answer now.
And like it doesn't bother her if she keeps it or leaves it. So it's up to Taiken if he wants to keep the suffering or not. If that made sense. However, I was just called, so I'll be right back.
Okay. Granny says, "You have my terms. Would you like some time to discuss?"
so
Yes, please.
What do we get out of this?
Information and help.
Fair enough.
She nods as you agree to wanting to have time to discuss. She stands up and says, "Needles, time to leave them to discuss." Needles goes, "Oh, I like his lap," says the cat.
Oh, don't worry. You can come back at least one time before I go.
"Ooh, I'd like that," says Needles, as Needles stands up and all his claws extend and then scratch, and they actually leave little grooves in your armor. And you see why he's named Needles. His claws are like needle sharp. And an element of magic, as they do scratch your armor. Before
I
there's
guess still
suddenly
finds him amusing.
a faint pop and Needles is not in the room. Granny Mudwallow stands up and says, "Enjoy the tea. Let me know when you're done discussing." And she turns and walks outside and closes the door. And you can see through the window she's now going across the bridge and sort of tending to the zombies in the swamp.
I would very much like people's opinion.
I personally think that Scarlet should be the one to do this.
She made her position quite clear.
She said she doesn't mind, and it's up to you whether you do it or not.
Oh, really? I did not understand that. I'll be honest, I can't hardly hear Solik at all, and he's at 200.
He said, whether you keep it or not is up to you. I think I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
Yep.
So, as Sanraya speaking, I think Scarlet should be the one to do this because losing friends and comrades is hard, and I understand that. But losing your wife and child is a whole different level. And personally, I don't want you to go through that again.
And Rhea's carrying compassion has caused Tychon to have a single tear.
Get back in there.
Archibald sips his tea as they discuss not wanting to have input because when it comes to friends and family, everyone knows what he did.
Mm.
Obliteration.
He got all 5 cards of Exodia.
I got a pentakill, yeah.
Exodia. So,
Unfortunately, I only had 4 legs and a head. Shame.
card discard. Got you. Yeah. So that's my stance on it.
And this is a really difficult decision for him because, on the one hand, he doesn't want to have Scarlet do it, but on the other hand, I'm afraid to relive that might actually break him.
On the other hand, Sol has said nothing.
Because he got called.
Sol got called.
Yeah. So he said he'd be right back.
On the other hand, Sol has said nothing. My statement still stands.
You discuss the fundamentum.
Fundamentum is a very powerful thing, and it's very hard to get out.
And it's also mine. But that's besides the point.
Have we really discussed the level of help that we're getting for this deal?
No.
Because, you know, I don't want to sound like I distrust the swamp hag, but just saying that she will help doesn't really, you know, say much.
Would Archie like to make a history check based on what a hag of this power could help with?
Sure. Boop.
With me and Archie's help, of course.
Yeah.
Archie, hags are powerful. A hag of this level, a Coven of One, that's been around for this long, and has subverted death at least 8 times. This hag is older than Archie was, and based on information, it was the previous session you made a history check on hags. This hag has outlived Lady Silverhand, so that's more than 900 years.
Yep.
There is a sense, Archie, that the rain around the swamp, the rain that you could determine was non-magical, was in some way, linked to this hag. To control weather on that scale, this hag could certainly provide some very potent help. But hag magic, as always, is beyond the knowledge of most mages. You get a sense that this hag probably won't come into battle with you, but will be able to help in indirect ways.
Yep.
But it's by no means a weak creature. It certainly has the punch to do stuff.
Yes.
Hmm.
But the thing is, she also knows that I won't want her slacking. She would know of my power too.
Yeah.
So, but it's just like, how much does she value that?
My point is that you could argue that her letting us walk out of here alive is her helping us. So, before any suffering happens, I want to at least know what actual help she's going to give, rather than just saying she will help.
That is something that you should ask her.
I will.
I'm back.
I'm
Okay.
back.
Basically, Sol, the hag left you all to have a discussion on whether or not to take her deal,
Okay.
or to, you know, have any further questions for her before she returns.
Fair.
So, you discuss anything further?
Are
Yeah,
we?
fundamental.
Did you mention that we think that Scarlet should be the one to do it?
That was discussed as well, Sol.
Ah,
That's losing people in battle is one thing, but losing your family is something else entirely. So there was a discussion on that Scarlet should do it because Tycan's is probably worse.
so she's taking suffering from.
She's not taking, she's experiencing in vivid detail.
But so will you.
Hmm.
So you will have to basically relive arguably one of the worst moments of your life in order for this deal to happen.
Oh, I got it totally confused. I thought she was just taking like a memory or something.
No, relive in detail the worst moment.
Yeah,
And
that's why I was like, it's up to Tyken.
and
Oh, okay.
my Thenray's thought process on it is that even though you would have suffered greatly losing your friends and comrades, Tyken lost his wife and child. So she doesn't want him to have to relive that. So she, even though she doesn't want to
Yeah.
volunteer,
No, it's fine.
yeah, yeah,
I
well,
understand a lot
okay.
more now.
Okay. And
That's fine.
now we're talking about getting giving the fucking dragons doodad,
Fundamentum.
his cock and balls.
Which is one of the bigger parts of the deal. Because this is a very
Arguably the
powerful
most
item.
important thing.
Just to be clear, you were told that there is a gem in the dragon's chest that is bound to Tiamat.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the fundamentum. That is an additional thing that is on the dragon. And she doesn't want that. She just wants the fundamentum. That's it.
Yes, but the fundamentum is still an extremely powerful item.
It is.
We're literally gonna end up giving a hag that's technically beyond control already.
The ability to
Something-
pretty much become an ancient dragon herself, pretty much.
Yeah, something pretty fucking insane. But she is technically the lesser of two evils, and judging by her story, she's not exactly bad. She's not good.
Just because she's a bad guy doesn't mean she's a bad guy.
Exactly.
Kick.
The thing is, are we willing to sacrifice the fragmentum of the Black Dragon to her for what we are going to get?
We could potentially get help from her that outweighs that.
Correct.
What my fundamental? I'm sorry.
The thing is, I honestly don't mind the deal, but I am also in the boat that I'm not the one taking the suffering, so this is more on Tycan or Scarlet. As well as us getting the fragmentum out in one piece, or making it so she can get the fragmentum herself.
I will say this, Archie, with that history check. A hag this powerful could absolutely retrieve the fundamentum once it's out, once the dragon's down. Retrieving it wouldn't be a part of what you need to do. Just killing the dragon.
Yeah. That's what I was figuring too.
Hmm.
My vote is we will do it. We can talk to her about the assistance we get, but the thing is that will be said after we get the deal. She doesn't want to put all her cards on the table right now. And the thing is, after getting this suffering out of the way, she might be a little bit more open to sharing what she wants to do. You know?
And the problem is this fundamentum thing. Also, by what she was saying, she was going to get it regardless. So we're just increasing the speed. Fuck it.
I say all the help we can get is going to be beneficial, and I feel like she will be very beneficial to helping us. Like, having this help is going to be very beneficial to us. So,
I agree.
and the thing is, this isn't just help for Nivixol. Nivixol is the big help, but the thing is, she's willing to help us with everything in some way. So. And it's only one fragmentum, and it's from the Ancient Black Dragon, which is more catered to swamps and acid and stuff anyway. And one that we probably would value one of the least, you know. The one that we'd probably value the most at the moment is the one from Frigidax. Because Tyken's going to want that one.
Tyken needs it.
And this is why she probably hasn't asked that, because she knows that you have the gripe against Frigidax.
I know exactly what I want to make with the one from Frigidax.
And I want the one from the blue one. So. Yeah.
Let me know when you're finished discussing.
As much as Tyken wants to, I don't know if he could get himself to do that.
Do what?
Relive.
Yeah.
This is why Scarlet would have to do it. I wouldn't want Tyken to do that either. So.
Because, like... And I think if he did, he would probably be a relatively different character. At least for some time.
I mean, I'd be willing to be burned to death again. But that, boring, according to her.
You know... You'd think she'd like, the fireworks show of that, but I guess not.
Oh, the fireworks show.
Or the other fireworks show where a city just disappeared.
Yeah, but the thing is, mine wasn't really suffering, it was more necessity.
Not to mention, yours wasn't really that long last. It was you were there and then you weren't with the rest of the city.
Yeah, I kind of got turned into the weave, so,
Yeah, it was just...
I
I might have
thought
been suffering
Gale.
for half a second. Oh, man.
But it's up to Scarlet.
I already said I'm fine with it. Someone
Pretty big
has to
decision,
do
I
it,
just
and it
wanna make
better not
double
be
sure.
taken.
Hmm. Well, if you're finished discussing, if you're agreeable, let me know.
Yes.
Yes. I vote yes.
Archie?
I vote yes. I've already said I vote yes, but it's up to
Cool.
Scarlet and Tycan to do the thing.
Oh, I
Okay.
vote yes, and we're done discussing. It's mostly on Scarlet, so, and she already agreed, so.
Okay. So the hag's still out there, tending to the garden of the zombies outside. The cat is out there with her. If you're finished discussing, you can call her back in if you like.
Yes.
How do you call her back in? Just go to the door and call her back in.
Madam.
Cool. As you call out, she looks up.
We're
And-
finished discussing.
She walks back in. The cat, in an instant, is back on your lap, Placket.
I'll pet him.
Cool. As you pet him, his fur is soft and a tint of magic to it. As she hobbles back in and sits back down and says, "So, what have you decided?"
We have decided that Scarlet shall experience the suffering, and we shall take your deal.
And the fundamentum, I may have it.
Yes, but you'll be the one to extract it.
Oh, that is fine. I've already made the preparations.
Because I don't want to risk one of us getting blown up.
Oh, I understand. I am more than capable of extracting such a useful fruit.
It may help us in the future being able to extract our own fruits when we deal
Well,
with the others.
Well, that'll be a deal for another time.
Mhm.
But if you find the terms agreeable, shall we begin? As her gaze falls upon you, Scarlet, with the 3 eyes in her, each of her eyes has 3 irises. As she gazes upon you, Scarlet. If you're ready to begin,
When you are.
she looks down at the tea and at the one that Archie identified as the illusion and enchantment. She prepares 2 little cups of this tea and slides one over to you, Skull,
She'll take it.
and takes the other for herself. Enjoy. She smiles at you.
She does not smile.
Good luck.
She will drink it though.
Okay. Let me find my notes. Cool. As you drink the tea, Scarlet, it tastes alright actually. It's not an unpleasant tea. However, you guys watch as all 3 of the hag's eyes roll back into her head. And Scarlet, your eyes roll back into your head as well. As Scarlet,
You die.
Yep. Yeah. Roll in a character.
Oh well.
Moving on.
In an instant, Scarlet. You're at the Battle of Waterdeep. At the start, as the tens of thousands that stand alongside you are in front of the walls of Waterdeep. It is exactly as it was. However, there's something different about it, Scarlet. You begin to experience the battle, the charging in initially, the fire blast, the rocks being thrown, the absolute chaos. It's exactly the same, except you feel the hag with you, watching every waking moment of it. And every time someone that you know, a friend, falls in battle, the experience, like the memory of that loss, is amplified 1,000-fold. It feels like the entire week of the Battle of Waterdeep, because it took a week. Every single death weighs heavily upon you. Every wound you took weighs heavily upon you. For the rest of you watching, it only takes a few moments, like a few minutes. But you guys see tears in Scarlet's eyes. As Scarlet, you feel the weight of every loss. You remember their names, who their families were. Your desperate attempts to save them failing.
In the morning, you have coffee.
What was that?
Wasn't me.
Okay, I heard a voice, that was all. As I'll let you, Sol, decide how Scarlet is impacted by all of this. You recall... What was his name? What was that fighter's name that you made up, things? One of the guards?
Oh, far out. That was a long time ago. Holy moly.
Oh god.
It was.
The fucking long line of fight.
The long line of fighters.
I think it's in
Who'd
here.
be-
I think that's something I've written down actually. Let me check.
It was a long time ago. Holy
Fingleberry! Fingleberry!
Dingleberries, yeah!
No.
You,
God damn it.
so for Scarlet, you remember the fall of Fingleberry first. During the battle, all of those friends, all the Blue Moon soldiers that fought alongside you, every single one. And the hag focuses on each and every one of the thousands of soldiers that you knew. And every one of their deaths, every one of their screams, all of the mud, all of the blood. Every single one. The rest of you watch as tears flowing down Scarlet's eyes. And for what the rest of you, it's just a few minutes, but for Scarlet, it feels like a waking nightmare. Almost as if time seems to slow. And for you, Scarlet, it feels like many months. Slow motion going through the entire battle. and
Yeah.
focusing on every single death. Until finally it gets to the point when you, Scarlet, fell. And the hag focuses even further on your own pain. In excruciating detail, as every broken bone, your final stand. Even focusing on the suffering of the red dragon that you slain in those final moments. Extracting that too. Before finally the vision fades. You return to your senses in the hag's hut. The hag's eyes return as well. In this moment, Scarlet, as your senses return, having gone through awful memories in vivid detail, how do you react to that? As you feel there's tears rolling down your face.
If that is all.
The hag sort of inhales deeply, and there's a sense of just sheer satisfaction on her.
Just waiting for a response.
Scarlet? Scarlet. I'm trying to find the thing. Is it not in here? Ah, it's called that. That's what it is. Scarlet. Roll a D100.
Okay.
Ooh, goody. Goody, goody, goody. Scarlet. I am Soul. Soul. I'm sending you something privately in Discord.
Okay.
You now have this indefinite madness. That is now in your floors.
I see.
As you suddenly feel just anger as you recall back to all the times that everyone else in the party has mentioned that you're short, for example, and other things. So add that to your flaws.
Yeah, I'll add it in a bit.
Yep.
Just still waiting
I'm
for
gonna-
a response.
I'm going to trust you to roleplay that as best you can.
I will try to remember. If I forget something, please do remind me.
Okay.
My
As
memory
she-
is that of a goldfish.
Okay. The hag is breathing deeply instead of like taking it in and goes, "Oh, that was glorious." She looks at you, Scarlet, and says, "Thank you for sharing that."
Will that be all you need of me?
It will. Consider me satisfied.
She stands up and walks out.
Okay. You notice there is a particular anger to when Scarlet walks out. The hag looks at the rest of you. Well, you've certainly fulfilled your part of it. It's time for me to fulfill my part. You wanted information, correct?
Information and assistance, yes.
Sorry, say again. I couldn't hear you.
Information and assistance, yes.
Well, information first. Assistance to come when the battle begins. She stands up and wanders over to a shelf where you see there's a particular bowl, a series of objects containing various things. She carries one of these bowls down and sits down on the table. She reaches into the bowl and pulls up what looks to be a powder of some sort and just tosses it into the air between all. As the dust drifts down, she mutters a very brief incantation. Suddenly the dust shimmers and vision clarifies. What information do you seek?
Glorious question. A loaded question at that.
That suffering was enough for a lot of information to be shared.
I guess the first one would be Nivixar's lair, right?
The Vixar's lair it is. She smiles, and the vision clarifies properly. You see vision of an insect, like the view of an insect,
Mm-hmm.
one of the many countless ones flying around the swamp, and you realize she can see through any of these.
Yep.
The insect is flying along through the rain. It's over the outside of a large rocky hillside within the middle of the swamp. The insect flies over what looks to be an amassing army, a force. You see various tents scattered about in the higher areas of the mud, where you see people and creatures are moving about. You see thousands of commoners standing in waist-deep mud, attempting to dig trenches, a defensive position around the outside of the central rocky hill that is undoubtedly Nivixal's lair. You hear whips being cracked. You see commoners digging in atrocious conditions, trying to make some sort of defensive perimeter. Whips being cracked by a Bishai as the commoners are desperately digging and bucketing out water as it's pouring rain into these trenches. You see walls of spikes being put up. They're attempting to build a defensive line around the Vixal's lair. You see many thousand knights serving the Vixal. You see black Abishai. You see black drakes. You see trolls. Granny Mudwaller says, he's building an army, preparing to defend himself.
Seems about right.
He knows that Phaela will come for him,
Of course.
and he's shoring up his defenses. Many devils, many loyalists, many trolls that were loyal to me and now loyal to him. But these are the most interesting, as the insect under her command, it seems, flies down along the trenches, and you see the whips cracking as it flies past them. It flies up to the back area of the defenses, where you see a creature. That does not have art, god damn it. You see several creatures. I'm just going to use a token because that'll be easier. God damn it, they're not even loaded in. You see several creatures of varying colours. Good up. Almost toad-like in their appearance. Almost like frog-like. Of varying colours. Walking about the defensive lines. Some stand about the same height as a person, others stand about 10 feet tall. You see these.
Blood.
You see slots.
Ugh.
Did I hear
hate
slods?
slods.
You see Slards among the defensive line for Navixel's
That's my
forces.
top 5 creatures.
Hmm. The hag says, there are many of these among there. But I find this is the most interesting part about his little defensive line. Beyond just an alliance with the Slards. The insect flies along past a few of the Slards and into a larger... As it's flying along, you see whips cracking and you see some of the Abishai saying, you're strong! Up! And some of the more stronger looking commoners are being led into a tent and the insect flies into the tent with them. Where you see there is a larger grey Slard. Which Archie you recognise to be a Death Slard. There is a line of these commoners, some warriors, and one by one they're being taken into the hut, and the Slard is stabbing them in the chest and implanting a Slard tadpole within each and every one of those who can take it.
Interesting.
The hag says, I am not going to hold back on my information because she did not hold back on her sharing, gesturing to Scarlet who's now left. They are a problem for me, says the hag.
No problem for all of us.
Indeed. You see, how I came back so many times because I have contingencies. They are threatening my contingency. The insect floats down to give you vision on one of the people in the line, who looks to be a young woman, probably in her early 20s, covered in mud, but strongish looking, who's in line waiting to be implanted with a slard tagpole.
Ew.
As you see this young woman who's standing in line, she's probably about 10 or 15th in line, standing in the rain. The insect focuses on this young woman. As the hag says, "They are taking my contingencies away."
That's not very good.
As you realize this is probably this young woman who's definitely over the age of 16 and therefore should have turned into a hag, but hasn't.
Yep.
You get a sense the hag has contingencies all over.
Yep.
You don't know how many commoners are probably these hag's contingencies, but this is probably how the hag has been regenerating so many times.
Yep.
As the
Next
hag
character, I'm playing a Hex Bloodborne from her. Let's go.
says,
Mhm.
the hag says, "The death slard will need to be dealt with."
Oh, dead slots. I love dead slots.
As these people are not only getting themselves inflicted with slard tagpoles, but they're willing to do it. As you hear an older man, probably in his 40s, kneel down before the slard, before the death slard, and say, "I do this for Navixal," and he takes it willingly.
Now, here's the real question: red or blue?
The one that's inflicting it,
No. What he's gonna turn into?
you don't know.
Let's place bets, ladies and
Mm.
gentlemen, right now.
But the hag says, "There is this. I believe it's useful information for you to know before going in there. There are slards among them." The insect flies out and flies along behind the battle lines. The insect flies along to some siege equipment. Ballistas, catapults, and that sort of thing. Being hastily put together by some Abishai and also some slaves in the form of commoners. And if the insect flies along and lands on a large bowl type device, which would be launched by a catapult. And the insect looks into the bowl, and you see inside, it is full of tiny silver shards. The hag says, "I think Navixel knows the blue moon is coming."
Probably.
Sorry?
Probably.
You should be careful of that, says the hag as she looks at you, Thanrea.
Silver shards.
Silver shards in catapults.
It's alright, just don't get hit.
The insect flies up from that and flies along further. You see several black dragons walking about of varying sizes. The largest is an adult that you can see. As it flies along, it gets to the lair entrance itself. You see a small cave type entrance into the interior of this rocky hill. At the entrance to the cave, standing in a position to view over this preparing battle line, you see Valiant. Standing guard at the entrance. The insect flies, as you see Valiant, his eyes are clouded over, as if he is not under his own control. And you can make an insight check if you like, Tyken.
Ah, hell
As you,
yeah.
as you know Valiant.
I almost rolled dice IRL. Where's my insights? Let's go, +0.
Hmm.
Let's go at 12.
Okay. Tyken, there is the vaguest hint of his body twitching. He's fighting.
He's fighting, let's go.
But he has no chance of overcoming this, you get a sense. And he's just standing guard and watching. The insect flies inside the cave past Valiant. You go past several large creatures, two-headed misshapen trolls, which Archie recognizes as Fomorians. I think that's what they are, yeah?
What was that,
Yes.
sorry?
You see several large misshapen troll-like giant creatures, which you
Oh, really?
recognize to be Fomorians.
Fomorians.
Fomorian.
Oh,
Very large, very strong, very dangerous giant. That are misshapen and are standing guard within the lair.
those things suck.
Oh, Jesus.
The insect flies along past them. You see pools of acid just littering the cave system that makes up this lair. The insect looks up in the roof of the cave, and you see in the roof there are pools of black slime that are moving in the roof, which you recognize to be black oozes. Is that what they're called? Black puddings. Sorry, black puddings.
Black puddings.
Lovely.
I love oozes.
And the insect flies past all these, past pools of acid, rickety bridges of rock and wood that cross deep pools of acid. These giants moving about, the oozes moving about. Before it finally gets into the main chamber, which is a large, almost entirely acid-filled chamber with deep pools of acid. Where you see Nivixel. His massive, ancient black dragon form, standing in the pools of acid. And is looking into what looks to be a scrying orb.
Orb.
And the vision of the scrying orb allows you to see what he can see. As Nivixal is growling angrily. And you see, as you see in the vision of the scrying orb, he is looking at Melendrak, who is currently in shackles and in some sort of a dungeon prison.
Ah, correct.
Well, we found that Thorn.
You see Nivixal move one of his draconic claws and cast a spell which you recognize to be sending.
Oh.
As Nivixal says, "We had a deal, Melendrak. You would stop Waterdeep from sending their armies. Why is there an army of soldiers wandering through the swamp right now? You will break out. You will stop them, or the misty forest will be destroyed.
Getting played too. Would you look at that?
You see in the vision, the scrying vision of Melindrak, he's trying to get out, but he can't.
Seems
You
like
don't-
a him problem.
But you have vision of the inside of the lair. You see what the Vixel is doing. You see all the defenses, and you see what's in there. Granny Mudwallow says, the inside of his lair. What else would you like to see? Anything?
I'm trying to think what exactly we would like to hear.
As you're thinking, Granny Mudwallow says, a great battle is coming very soon.
It is.
As the vision flashes from that insect to another one, which is on the battle where all the defenses are. It goes past a few other tents on the battle lines where you see commoners being given crude leather armor. The Tycan, this probably makes you the most disturbed. You see children being put in armor.
Oh, damn it.
Being given rusted weapons, pointed sticks. You see one child who's probably no more than 8 years old, carved in mud and probably quite sick, as he's being given a weapon by an Abishai. And the Abishai says, "Who do you serve, child?" And the child says, "I will fight and die for Navixal." The Abishai says, "Good," and just gives him like an obviously blunt short sword.
Jeez. Tyken just hopes that everyone does non-lethal.
Granny
That's
Mudwallow
the
says,
best we can hope for.
Granny Mudwallow says, "There'll be great suffering on both sides. But like I said before, it's not sustainable." But all sides are preparing, says Granny Mudwallow, as the vision flashes again, and it's now far away from the lair. You see a group, a large group, a convoy of sorts, of several hundred at least, soldiers of Waterdeep, of Blackhelm Tower in particular, marching through the swamp in the direction of Navixal's lair. They have siege equipment among them. You also see a particular gnome among their ranks.
Oh, there they are.
As you see, humming to herself happily, you see Verge on a particular little squeaking animated ballista.
Screech.
You see mages, you see soldiers, you see horses, siege equipment. The whole thing. There is a very large group of Waterdeep soldiers making their way into the swamp. A great battle indeed is coming, says Granny Mudwallow. And as for the people in the swamp, the vision flashes once again, and you see a darkened tunnel, which the insect is flying along. following some figures that are just enveloped in shadow before they emerge into a large underground chamber, where you see the figure you were following was Phaela, as she emerges into a large chamber full of people that are scared and sick, hidden underground somewhere. As Phaela emerges into this large chamber, some of the people approach her and thank her, and they're praising her. And from behind Phaela comes a group of people that she has saved in the last few hours. Granny Mudwaller says, they view her as a hero.
Good. Oh, she survived. That's the real question. There's a lot of things to do and a lot of people to see.
There are. Whether she lives or dies doesn't matter to me. I personally think that if Phaela was to die during this battle, that would snuff out some of their hope and bring some suffering to them, which would be good. But there needs to be a balance.
I need Phaela. Phaela is a crucial pin in dealing with the other dragons.
Would you like my assistance in keeping her alive?
Yes.
Consider it done. Well, I've shown you what is to come.
I have one more question. One more sight to behold. Is there any points where their forces are the weakest where we can slip in behind? We have ways. We have little teleportation devices that if we put them down, we can move around the battlefield freer and get around defenses that he's setting up.
I see. You're referring to the Blue Moon soldiers. The vision clouds and then focuses again. And now you see Ingrid with her, one of the Blue Moon scouts with her direwolf companion. And a small team of Blue Moon soldiers that are currently moving through the swamp stealthily. In particular, it zooms in on Ingrid as she takes a long sword and slits an Abishai's throat quietly.
Yeah.
I see. You want some locations for them to unfurl their little tapestries.
Correct. Little tapestries will be important.
Let's have a look. As close as possible, yes?
Or points that will cause the most, well, death.
I see.
For the enemy.
The vision clouds and then focuses, and you see an insect flying along the battle line of the Vixel's forces. And the Vixel's forces have a battle line that surrounds the entire area of the central hill on all sides. But there are particular points that you notice that the hag also points out. Areas where there is dense forest. Areas where there are rocky outcrops that block line of sight. The hag says, these could do, or that one there. Ooh, or this. And one of the insects flies down to an area of mud. Where you see there's a little bit of a raised dirt hill that just sort of comes just out of the mud. And you see buried and the insect goes to the mud and lands on the mud and sort of scratches a bit of it aside, and you see what looks to be a wooden trapdoor. The insect crawls within the wood through the trapdoor into one of the many hidden dungeons that Phaela said are all over the place.
Mm.
It's a small chamber. It looks to have just been a small bunker type thing. But it's within a few 100 feet of Navixal's battle line. And it doesn't look like it's guarded at all.
I want in there. I want in there.
The hag shows you 2 or 3 more of these locations, and it seems Navixal isn't aware of them, given their unguarded status.
I want to pull off some cheese, Matt, and you're not going to like it.
Okay, that's fine. That's all good.
Cheese.
Well, it's going to involve me having several long rests in a short amount of time.
Mm.
Because I know of these places now.
Hmm.
They are known. I heard these. So anyway, I was thinking I teleport to these 3 places, and I gate to these 3 places from our hideout and
Yeah.
teleport back.
Yeah. It's worth noting that Navixal's forces numbers, there's like 1,000 or so at least. Trolls, Abishai, and well-armored and trained knights on Navixal's side, and untold thousands of commoners that are all being armored.
Mm-hmm.
So even with the Blue Moon forces and the Waterdeep forces and the Bullywugs, if you bring them in,
Mm-hmm.
you'd still be outnumbered heavily. So any advantage you want, please take.
Is it cheese or is it just using your tools?
Using your tools.
These are behind the battle lines, right?
These are in front of the battle lines.
In front of the battle lines.
In front of them. So there's like a central large rocky hill, which is Navixal's lair,
Mhm.
and in the hills just surrounding it is where the battle line is being set up. And just beyond that are just muddy plains and fields, which is where Navixal is presumably hoping to hold off any attacking force. And
Oh, we just need to find the weakest point in the battle line.
Yep.
Out of those 3 points.
Yep. You do notice the battle line is strongest looking to the east, which is curious because that's not in the direction of where the Waterdeep force is coming from, or from the direction the Blue Moon's coming from. That's in the direction of Ashta Thindar's area.
Is there a way for us to get over there?
Sorry, that's where the defenses are strongest, facing in
Oh,
the
okay.
east.
Oh,
Because,
well, they're afraid of Ashtinder.
Yeah,
obviously.
but there is certainly a concentration of forces in the direction mainly of Ashthinder to the east,
Mhm.
also to the west, because they know Navixal knows Waterdeep sending forces.
Mhm.
So there's some facing to the west, and there is a fair amount facing to the south. There is a weakness to the north, because that's out of the swamp.
Yep.
But there are gaps to the south. Navixal knows the Blue Moon is of few number, and therefore is not too worried about that, particularly with the silvered catapult launchers.
Yeah.
So you do find a few gaps that are on the south line. That'll be interesting.
Yep. So the weakest point is not where we're coming from, but not to the east either.
Yep.
It's in a different side, right?
Let me draw on the map for you. If this is Navixal's hill, right? You see that little circle there, just below Sunrise Token?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. And I'll make it a different color. There we go. Big amount of defenses here because they're worried about Ashes Cinder. Big amount of defenses here because they're worried about the Waterdeep forces. And a smattering of forces along here as they're not really sure where the blue moon's going to come from. Very little defenses on the north. Does that make sense?
Where are most of our forces coming from at the moment?
Okay, so if I get text happening, there we go. Blue Moon, Phaler, coming from the south.
Uh-huh.
Aster Cinder, question mark, from the east. You're not sure if Ashes Cindar's coming. There's no forces that the Hag has mentioned, but there's definitely some sort of, anxiety about that.
One thing who kind of hopes shows up.
Waterdeep forces coming from that side.
Mm-hmm.
No one coming from the north.
So we need to get the Waterdeep and the Blue Moon people to come from the north rather than the south and
You
the
believe
west.
You believe so?
Mm-hmm.
And based on what you've seen, the Vixel's information is coming from Melandrak. And with Melandrak in the prison, he probably doesn't know. He probably wouldn't know if the Waterdeep forces are just heading.
Well, I can get contact to all the Waterdeep forces very easily
You can.
by talking to several people, actually.
Mm. You can. But as you have that information, you can stew on it if you like.
Well, the thing is, I gotta go.
You do. I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna wrap it up in a sec. So, the Hag says, "I believe I've given you plenty of information,
Mm-hmm.
and I will help in the battle, just not directly." As one of the insects flies down to an area of trees near the battle line, where you see thousands of insects that all seem to move at the mere flick of the Hag's wrist. Think like an insect plague on a really high level.
Yeah.
And also, this rain is going to make it very hard for them to use their ranged weapon. And she grins. And she moves her other hand ever so slightly, and the rain pouring on the battle line goes from just a miserable rain to a torrential pour. Trust me, I will give you help. And I'll be watching.
Oh, I will be 100% believing you'll be soaking in all the temporary suffering that you can.
Oh, it's going to be glorious. But your companion's waiting outside, and I think our deal is concluded for now.
Indeed. I am sure we'll be speaking in due time.
Very good. Oh, it's been a pleasure. I'll have the Meanlocks keep not attack you on your way out.
Thank you.
Very, very well. Thank you.
As she gestures to the door.
Archie stands up, adjusts his tie, adjusts his shirt, adjusts his suit, adjusts his glasses, sweeps back his hair, and then leaves.
Okay. Scarlet,
Yep.
you wandered outside. What'd you do? I was like, make this quick because things has to go.
Oh, she probably gets her anger out on something that is not of the hag's property.
Okay, as you wander on out, you get back to where Kalaya and Saber and Charlie are, and Charlie sees you and says, "You seem, are you okay?" Miss Savage?"
No.
Charlie says, "I have been trained in several dozen forms of therapy."
Would you
If
like to
you
be
need,
punched?
Sorry.
Would you like to be hit? Because I can do that. That's what I feel like doing
I-
right now.
No, but if talking will help, then
It won't.
please. I understand. Scarlet, in the middle of the hag giving this information, she does sort of wave her finger, and you hear the hag's voice. Scarlet, I understand it might be difficult. If you wish to get your anger out on something, one of the Abishai that's currently being eaten by maggots at the entrance to my bridge, you can have one.
It's being eaten by maggots.
It's been
Okay,
it's
I
been
gotta
it's
go.
been- Okay, thank you, thanks. Thanks for play.
Thank you.
Bye, Danks.
Bye,
Talk to you
Danks.
later.
It's one of the there are two Abishais that are impaled on spikes at the entrance to the bridge that goes to the hag's hut. They're being eaten by maggots and being kept in a state of suffering. And the hag said you can have one.
Ah,
Take out your anger as you wish.
sure, why not?
Okay, as you take to what you pick one of them
Yup,
and just go to town on it.
yup.
Cool. Charlie watches, and you hear him say to you, Scarlet, "This cannot be healthy." As you're just slashing into an Abishai.
Nah, she's probably punching it.
It was just punching this thing, and it's groaning, and the regeneration that the hag's put upon it is just keeping it alive for you to do this.
Just leave me alone,
The rest-
Charlie.
Of course, I'll be here when you need it. And he takes a step back. The rest of you step out of the hag's hut. The cat grins at you, Tycan, and says, "I hope we see each other soon."
As do I. You're quite good company.
Hmm. I would like
And
to
I will-
see. I would like to see what she was talking about. It says,
Oh, in my head.
"Yes, that sounds very interesting."
It's not so much interesting as it is just sad.
Oh, but sadness is interesting.
I mean, to each their own, I suppose.
To have such joy, and then to have it taken away. Oh, I can't wait for you to visit again, and it suddenly teleports off your lap, and you don't know where it's gone. As you step outside, you look back, and on the roof of the hut is just the cat's face, grinning at you.
He waves.
You see it wave, but not from the roof. You see just a paw with little needle-like claws on the bridge sort of waves at you. As the hag sort of stands at the door and watches you leave, you see Scarlet just beating the living shit out of this half undying Abishai in anger.
Tyka's just gonna let her do her thing because she needs that right now.
Okay.
And if you think about it, she's also doing the Abishai a favor, I think.
Hmm. Oh, you're like, oh, it's doing you a favor. Then you realize the Abishai is just regenerating fast.
Oh. Sucks to suck.
But you all regather at the end of the bridge. The deal concluded. Information gains. Ally forms. That's what I'll call it there, because I would like things to be about for whatever you're doing next, because I'm presuming you can get a teleport somewhere.
More than likely.
But yeah, thank you for this short session.
Thank you for the
Bag.
Yeah.
Thanks for DMing.
Yay.
I'm
Good
gonna
fun.
go back to bed.
How do you
fun.
guys like my new mic?
It's
Oh,
a
that's
little
better. That's much
yeah,
better.
That's better. Can I have it?
No, it's my standing mic.
Also, standing mic. Let's go. That's a spicy.
Yeah, it has a pop filter too, and one of the back pieces as well.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm gonna be using it for singing eventually. It's gonna be very
Ooh.
nice.
Ooh.
But yeah, you guys can hear me even when I lean back a bit.
Yay.
Yep.
Yes.
Yay.
There's a good a couple feet between me and the mic right now.
You know, what's funny is you're still louder than your old mic was when you were right next to it.
I know.
That's a good mic.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations on that.
But yeah. Ooh. Oh boy. I wonder what would happen if Tycoon did the thing.
I would have had to message you about do I lose my powers or become an Oathbreaker?
Mm.
But yeah, it's a very nice mic. I don't have it fully standing because I don't need the extra 2 poles. That's a little too high for me. I'm not standing right now, so I only put 1 pole.
Yeah.
And it can't fit on my desk because there's an option to just put it on your desk, but there's no room.
Alright.
But
I'll talk to you guys later.
oh,
See
thanks
ya.
for play. See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you.
Good
Bye.
fun.
Bye bye.
But yeah, for Tycoon, I would have either had you choose an indefinite madness or have you roll.
We like gambling here. I would have rolled.
Yeah, there are some good ones in here. There are some that definitely would have broken your oath.
I do believe it's the 97 to 100 one.
Yeah, I've discovered that I really like killing people.
Yeah, that's the one. If I'm my memory serves correct.
But yeah, hope you enjoyed my interpretation of a hag.
Oh, I did. That was bravo. Very fun.
Thank you. Yay. Oh, it's gonna madness now.
I hope that eventually we can fix it. Unless
they can be fixed. Like it's not a permanent.
Oh
thing,
yeah, but we have to figure out which one it is.
It's indefinite. Need to figure out what it is.
We don't even need to figure out what it is. We just need to figure out what happened. Because out of game, I know what fixes it. As a paladin, I feel like he would know what fixes it. But I go with your discretion on that one.
Yeah, well, that's something that can certainly be done. But no deal with a hag is
without
easily
consequence.
has a consequence.
Yeah. Recently, I had some of my party members roll on the madness table, and I use a extended one.
Yeah,
that,
I'm using it. I'm using the extended one too.
I'm fine with what Matt gave me. I trust Matt.
Hey.
What happened was they went directly into the far realm. They got swallowed by a monster that went through a portal to the far realm because they were trying to close the portals to the far realm. They got out of the monster. Unfortunately, it was in the far realm, so they roll on their indefinite madness table, and well, the madness wasn't indefinite, but the effect was. What happened was the horrors of the far realm were so overwhelming, they clawed their eyes out to not look at them anymore.
Yep. That reminds me of have you ever seen Love, Death and Robots?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember I think it was in season 2 of it. Have you seen season 2?
I don't think I've seen all of season 2.
Okay, in season 2 there's a Cthulhu-esque one in there.
I gotta watch that. I love Cthulhu.
It's so good. It's so good. It has that similar thing of like seeing the entity is enough to make you claw your eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like I use because I run a lot of far realm aberrations mind players. I tend to have madness tables at hand for emergency cases.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time a party member that I had, they just looked into a portal. They got a short-term madness and they were claustrophobic for like 10 minutes and had to run outside.
Mm. Yeah, the long-term like the indefinite ones are the best ones, I think.
Oh yeah, see, I actually don't mind the short ones. The medium ones are the ones that are pretty difficult. Like those are the ones that I feel bad for doing to people in combat because that can just kill somebody's whole playtime.
Yeah, the long-term ones, you mean?
Yeah, the long term ones.
Yeah, they actually like take away agency.
Like I don't mind doing the long term ones out of combat because you wait 10 minutes or a day and they're gone.
Yeah, but it takes away agency, which I don't like. But
Uh,
the indefinite ones are like they don't take away agency. They just like mix up how your character does stuff for a while.
yeah, like I mean,
Like
so
like being drunk keeps me sane.
I remember one time, right? I was DMing for a guy.
Can you imagine if Tyken became an alcoholic?
I mean,
Like,
actually, Alcoholic Tycoon is not the worst one we can have on this list.
oh no. Well,
I remember one time, right? I was DMing and someone got that indefinite madness. The being drunk keeps me sane, but the
Yep.
character was in such a way no one noticed because he acted no different, and it was still in character and
Yeah.
everything.
Do you know what's really funny? Do you remember in the last campaign to Sentinel of Avernus,
Uh-huh.
Robbo the dwarf?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he had the being drunk keeps me sane.
I just thought he was a dwarf, just a normal dwarf.
Oh no, he's like that was his whole thing. Like he's been in the hells for decades. Like he's got an indefinite madness, and he's being drunk all the time. This Pedro with being a dwarf. Yeah, I hope you Sol. I hope you can roleplay that out because that'll be really interesting for your character.
Yeah, I'll do what I
Trying to figure
can.
out which one it is.
Yeah, good. Well, it won't be that hard when we play some more
Yep.
because I feel like it's going to trigger a lot.
Yep.
Like, see, there's some of the long-term madness effects that would be fine out of combat, like,
Remember, it's permanent.
oh no, not the indefinite. I'm talking long-term. The one that's 1d10 times 10 hours.
Oh,
Like the character can feel basically you give a character OCD for like a few days.
Yep.
It's
hilarious.
a character having to like the party because a lot of times whenever I campaign, there's usually a good stretch of times between like major combats and stuff like that. So like
Yep.
the party having to try to communicate with a party member that's recently been deafened, stuff like that.
Yep.
But yeah,
No, it's like-
you can go ahead and guess all you like. Don't say it. Well, I won't say what it is.
Hey, good. Let it unfold naturally. It'd be fun.
Yes.
But yeah, like I was once once when I played in a campaign, one of the other players got an indefinite madness, a custom one, which was they become extremely OCD all the time, and they did it really well. It was like they were playing a rogue that primarily used a crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever they fired a bolt, they'd look at the number of bolts they have left, and if it's not an even number or divisible by 5 of bolts left, they throw some away. So they'd fire a bolt and go, "Oh, I can't have this many," and they just throw some away. and then fire
Oh,
one
that's
more, and then throw more away, and
Oh, that's funny. Like I've actually done that before. Like I've done like OCD characters because when I was younger, like I want to say between the ages of like 8 years old and 13, I actually had severe OCD. So I actually strangely enough find it fun to play characters like that. You know, they're constantly counting, double checking things, that kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah, there was also one game I played in where the wizard got indefinite madness. The wizard player got indefinite madness, which was you are infatuated with an inanimate object,
Mm-hmm.
which just so happened to be a random stick in a forest that they found. So they carried the stick around for 3 or 4 levels until they got to a level where they could cast animate objects. So they got that, animated the stick, which then became like a DMPC. And the end of the campaign was they managed to permanently awaken the stick, and the wizard ended up marrying the stick.
That's funny.
And apparently really dumb.
I don't know who that player was, but bravo, all the inspiration.
It was so good. Like, what was really interesting was the wizard, particularly chose spells that did not do fire damage after getting the stick, because any fire spell could destroy the stick, and they didn't want to risk it. So like suddenly the wizard didn't have fireball anymore, because doing so could hurt the stick.
Alright, well, I'm gonna end the stream.
Okay, thank you for play. Short session.
Thank you
but
for DM.
information-
Sorry for
information dropped.
being asleep for a bit.
I'll allow it.
Alright.
I gotta go meet a friend of mine now, so I'm gonna head off too. But thank you for DM. I had a good one.
Yay. Thank
See
you for playing.
ya!
See you next
There you
week.
go.
See you. Bye.
Yes, sir. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you guys next week, hopefully. As for me, I'm not sure yet. I don't have a set schedule except for Sundays. So, maybe tomorrow? Who knows? But see you then, and have a nice day.